There's not one rich person on this planet that doesn't have a team behind them to support their decisions to move them forward.
Stoy Hall is the founder and CEO of Black Mammoth. He leads a modern family office built for women and minority business owners who wants to take control of their money, build real wealth, and stop feeling alone in the process.
The mindset of living wealthy is not meaning, hey, I'm just out here living life on a beach somewhere. You still have to put in the work, but it frees up your mind to understand the things that actually matter.
And today, he defined what true wealth means to him, how to become financial literate.
If we build it into your lifestyle, now it's something for the rest of your life that's built into you, and then you won't have that overspending issue or debt issue again because you've changed and grown into the new you.
His upbringing from humble surroundings, growing up without a father, and being raised by a hardworking single mom, dreaming of becoming an NFL player and a Navy SEAL, to the man that's today a financial planner that's educating everyone around the topic of wealth. This is a topic close to my heart because I always had some sort of scarcity around money, and in the same time I know that a lot of people struggle with this topic. Why? Because lack of education, money being seen as a tool, but Stoy comes with a different perspective. Money as a partner. I won't spill the beans, but I'll invite you to join our conversation and see how this will change your perspective around money, and who knows, it might make you wealthier. But this is not a financial advice. This is for educational purpose only, and take it as it is. Hey, if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. In this episode, you'll learn a lot about wealth. But before we dive into it, I would like to ask you a small favor. If you can subscribe to this channel and share this message with someone that you care about, because every single one of us needs to be educated around the topic of money and has impact in every aspect of our life. And tell us, what did you find helpful in this episode? What message resonated with you? What didn't resonate with you? Everything helps. And now let's get into it. Enjoy the episode. Stoy, welcome to Authority in the Wild.
Thanks for having me.
Please define for us wealth.
So I define wealth as living life on your own means, being able to live happily, give back to others. And a lot of that definition has nothing to do with dollars, right? Everyone usually thinks wealth means billions of dollars or whatever, zeros. And yeah, that might be the tool to get to that. But ultimately, your true wealth is around your happiness, being able to give back to others and live in life on your own means.
I resonate a lot with that. For the past 5-6 years, I tried to apply a similar definition to my own perspective on wealth. And I truly resonate with that. But what happens to all the others that probably because of society or their upbringing and so on, have a totally different definition, a totally different perspective on wealth?
It's tough. So the reason my definition is what it is, in 2011, when we went over to Tanzania with my college football team, when we arrived, people were happy, right? But women were sweeping out mud floors and living life to the best of their abilities. And obviously they have a lot less than anyone in America really does at that perspective. But it changed my thought process and it changed my perspective because they don't have a lot of money. They don't have aspects of being able to get a lot of money, but they're happy. They're joyful. They have a sense of community and they're focused on living the life that they have. And that's why it's transitioned for me that way. And so when you talk about the lower income or those that just have a bad upbringing, bad experience in life, any one of us can grasp onto something in our life that is truly wealthy, that is truly something that we can stand behind. And if we can't do that, then we get caught into the minutia of money matters more than people. And if we get to that degree, that's where narcissism kicks in. That's where, a lot of violence kicks in, is because we care more about money than we do people. And when you start doing that, you actually lose yourself. And that's a lot of what happens with people, is we lose ourselves because we don't know who we are. And it all wraps around what money means to us.
Indeed, but still some people will argue like, all right, but I need to put food on the table. I'll need to pay my bills. I'll need to do that. In order to grow my business, I need to keep the cash flowing. And what you share, it's true, but still the others will say like, yeah, it's easy for you to say. What you'll tell them?
They're not wrong, but it's a mindset over physical things that are happening, right? The mindset of living wealthy is not meaning like, hey, I'm just out here living life, on a beach somewhere, which I would love to do personally. You still have to put in the work, but it frees up your mind to understand the things that actually matter. And that is you, your family, your experiences and whatnot. You just know that I have to do this work. I have to grow this business. I have to put in my time in order for me to continue doing the things that bring me those joys. The flip side of that, and I always revert back to asking people, is okay, if that's the case, right? You think I have to put in so much work to get so much money to achieve those things, then how do you really feel every day? And a lot of those answers are, I'm tired. I don't want to go to work, right? I'm run down and all of those things. And that's because their mindset is so focused on the dollar and not focused on what brings them joy, those experiences or their loved ones. And so it's a mind shift is what it is. It's not necessarily, hey, I have a bunch of money so I can live this way. It's no, I got to put in the work, but I'm doing it for this reason, not just because I know that dollars answer everything.
And how did you change that mindset? Because I assume you weren't born with it.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
None of us are, right? It's a lifelong journey, right? There is no flip of a switch type scenario. I know a lot of us look for that, right? We look for the nugget of a podcast, for example, that just all of a sudden changed my life. Those really aren't out there. There's no such thing unless you win the lottery, of course. But it's every day working towards that and asking yourself, what am I doing this for? What truly brings me joy? One of the bigger exercises that we do with all our clients is when they first come on, we ask one question, and that question is, what's your first money memory? And then the second is we do a 12-month little process, little project, if you will. Take 12 months of your credit card bills or your bank statements, whatever you have expenses income coming out of. Highlight everything green for everything that when you see it makes you smile. Highlight everything red for everything that doesn't make you smile and kind of pisses you off a little bit, and add those up at the end of the day. If you have more red than green, then your mindset is focused on something that is not actually aligned with who you are. And so then you can start to work on improving the green areas, improving those things. And then as you start to shift, you're going to be more happier, you're going to be lighter, you're going to be freer. And then your mindset continues on. Then it's just part of your lifestyle from that point forward.
And that's the power of it, right? Like once you build that muscle, once you do these small exercises and you not just do it before the New Year's Eve and next year I'll do this every end of the week or whatever, but you never do it, nothing change. And that's you need for that consistency to keep on moving a bit more towards a better way of looking at things. And speaking of looking at things, I know you grew up in such a different environment from the one that you're living today. Can you get us back in time a bit and share a bit about your upbringing? Because I think that will put things into perspective when it comes to people truly understanding who you are.
Yeah. I grew up with a single mother. Father wasn't in the picture really at all. A single white mother, I should say, because that dynamic actually matters. But single white mother who worked 12, 14-hour days, did the best and most she could for me in general. I was raised by my grandparents and my friends' families, right? Whether it was sports or whatever. I grew up in more of a community of culture from others than I did directly with parents and having two parents in the home. But what I learned from that is one, my mom's love language was making sure I had food on the table, making sure I had my, equipment or stuff for school, but necessarily didn't value time as one of those metrics, right? And so growing up in that way, I kind of flipped that. I cared more about being around people. I wanted to have my loved ones around. I didn't care about stuff, right? I'll wear the same pair of shoes for 4 years, right? That stuff does not matter as much to me. And so then I ended up going to college at Drake University playing football. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club here for 4.5 years. And that same thing came back up, right? It came back to working parents don't have the time to truly raise their children, specifically around money, but also don't know enough about money to know how it reflects and then builds trauma in their kids. And so I knew, hey, I needed to get into an industry that we could attack that. We could be transparent with that. We could truly understand and educate people on the positive and negative effects of money in our lives. And so that's what I do every day now.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And I truly wanted you to do that because often people think like, oh, maybe, yeah, Stoy is sharing all these things because he had certain upbringing. But knowing all that and looking at you now, running a successful business and educating others around money and so on, it's such an important thing that you learn during those times. And obviously, you playing as well the role of the man in the family and the role of trying to play a sport in order to see where you lead at. And I think you mentioned at some point that you dream to be a Navy SEAL and so on. And at what time in your life did you have a male role model and how that changed your perspectives?
Yeah, I had one main male role model and then a bunch of subsidiaries after that. My grandfather, who's actually technically my step grandfather, he wasn't by blood, was in the Navy, and I spent majority of my childhood with him, either traveling on the truck or at their house and learning kind of, I guess, an old school mindset, right? Like he was in the Vietnam War, was in the Navy, so there were certain things that we did. But then the other male role models in my life have always been my coaches. I've had amazing coaches growing up, which is not normal for everyone, but every coach at every level I've had has been a great man and a great father to in general, right? Let alone a great coach. And I just started learning and following them and picking up on what they do and being taught from all these different perspectives actually works in my favor because now when I'm speaking to everyone, I can have an experience or understand from different points of views than others, right? It's not just like one track. I didn't have just one father, one male figure. I've had five or six from all different walks of life be able to teach me who to be and who I should be as Stoy Hall, right? And what father I want to be, what man I want to be, not necessarily just what one upbringing was. And I see it as a benefit. Some people are like, well, you didn't have a father around. Yeah, granted, I can see how that's a negative to some, but for me, it's a positive because I was able to get more and learn more from a lot of others.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Even that I grew up with a father, I luckily had multiple people that I look up for when it comes to male role models. And from teachers to coaches, I used to play basketball. And all these male in my life shape a part of me and ultimately kind of influence me without realizing until I start to realize and so on. And which one of them led you to this path or into the financial world?
I don't know if everyone's ever asked me that before. That's a really good question. I would say my last college coach, defense coordinator, he was a boxer in previous life. We had a similar upbringing. And I was telling him because I got injured my fifth year, so had to figure out it's time to go get a career. And he had talked to me about the Boys and Girls Club and like what do you want to fight for, right? As an athlete, just like you, like we fight for something. There has to be an end goal. There has to be something that we're going after. And I said immediately, I said, I want to be able to rid the world of the financial literacy. I want everyone to be able to have enough base knowledge to understand money so they can take care of their loved ones or able to seek out good information to help their situation. And he's like, so go do it. Like, what's stopping you? And that was really what triggered me. I think that was in 2011 that really triggered me to say, hey, let's go attack this industry. Let's go do these things, but let's do it different, right? It's clearly not working the way it should be, so we've got to do that. So I would definitely say it was Coach Ward who pushed me to do that.
And in the name of those listening, I want to thank him. I really want to dive deep into your expertise since seeing people around me that financial literacy it's such a tricky topic, especially at least in the country that I was raised on. It's like almost missing in educational system. And not sure how it's in US, but I assume it's not that extensive and not everyone has access to it. What people start with when it comes to become financial experts or at least having the basic knowledge around how to manage money, how to start educating themselves and so on.
Yeah. We are luckily enough now in today's day and age that there is so much information on the internet, like it's kind of crazy, right? So I have to make everyone start with one, what's your first money memory? Always go back to that. Next is figuring out who you truly are and what you want from life. If you don't figure those two things out, it doesn't matter what you learn financially or whatever moves you want to make, it won't align with your lifestyle. You need to turn financial lifestyle into your lifestyle. It just needs to be a part of you. And right now, the majority of us across the world, by the way, lack education in our school systems and lack governmental help, lack just in general the conversation of your money is you, right? We've been raised, I don't know if you were raised this way, but growing up, it was always separate your financial decisions from your emotions, right? Keep those separate, keep those as different decisions. We're humans. That's physically impossible, right? We're emotional human beings. We need to be able to link those together. And when they're together, then that's when things move, right? We always see people say, oh, they got lucky and started a business and now they're worth millions of dollars, right? Well, they didn't get lucky. They aligned themselves with their purpose to make the right decisions to achieve where they wanted to go. And so, first and foremost, you all need to get that done first. Then we can go learn 1 + 1, 2 + 2, bank accounts, checking accounts, etc.
Absolutely. And what I'll add to that is the fact that you truly need to put in the work to actually level up your skills and everything. Because it just speaking of starting a business, like you cannot just start a business, you'll be successful. Or you mentioned at some point like winning at lottery. Even those that win at lottery, if they have no idea how to deal with money, just throw them down the drain. Once you understand that, once you realize like, all right, so I built some skills, I have a clear vivid memory of my first money memory and the lifestyle that I want to live, the path that I want to go, what they should do next.
Is create those plans. So, first and foremost, everyone, we should start to figure out your goals and memories are going to have a cost to them, right? Whether that's buying a house, travel, whatever. Lay those out and start building a savings plan towards those. I'm not a proponent of always one track mind. Like, I want this, so I'm going to have all my savings goes towards that bucket. I like to put money in all my buckets. And just to give you an analogy of the buckets, right? We have a short term bucket, and that should be able to cover all of your expenses for 3 to 6 months. So that way, if you get fired, your business goes poorly, you get hurt, you're good for 3 to 6 months without even thinking about it, right? So we have that bucket. Then we have our midterm bucket, which is anywhere between 6 to the next 12 months of savings. And then we have the long term bucket, which is 12 plus. Your goals fit into each one of these buckets, and each one of your savings plans should be designed around that. But because we've done the work with knowing our mindset, figuring out our first money memory, we've aligned all our decision makings, then we can attack those savings plans. But on the other side of it is all other financial decisions mean our expenses aren't going to go out of control. We're not going to overspend on Amazon or all those things. Plus, since we're in that mindset, when an opportunity comes up, we'll be prepared for it, as opposed to us that are kind of in the dumps or have a negative money mindset or just feel like the world's collapsing on us. Opportunities pop up, we can't see them because we're in the wrong mindset. We're not prepared for those opportunities. So when you do all of that work, that's when things start to really flow. And everyone says, again, back to the luck story, like, oh, you get lucky this opportunity happened. No, I was prepared for it because I was mentally free and I was ready and looking for those opportunities.
And before we discuss a bit about all those three buckets, I would like to dive a bit more into the mindset part because I know I struggle with. Like I had so many fears around money and limiting beliefs and so on because you grow up with these things like oh money don't grow in trees, like money's hard, you need to work hard to make money and all that stuff. Like how people address that apart from those things that you already mentioned to truly fix those wounds around money.
You got to talk about it. Okay. That goes for everything in all relationships and everything you're dealing with. You actually have to physically talk to somebody about it, right? Whether it's an expert like me, whether it's going on a podcast, whether it's a friend, a loved one, you need to be able to talk through what's going on, good, bad, or indifferent. Because by being able to talk about it and get it off of your chest and out of your mind, then you're able to see it and hear it from a different perspective. Then you can attack it and hopefully change your mindset or at least attack the situation at hand. But we are so individualistic when it comes to our money. We all love putting money on our chest and never talking about it. That's when it snowballs, right? People get in debt and then they get deeper in debt, or they have a gambling habit, or they, name the situation. We would rather just deal with it ourselves and think we can fix it. Well, here to tell you, You don't have the tools to fix it because we've never been taught the tools. The tools that are out there that you will see on the internet might not be best for your situation. It can actually detrimentally hurt you. And the third thing is there's not one rich person on this planet that doesn't have a team behind them to support their decisions to move them forward. So why are you trying to think that you can do it yourself when the most rich people in the world can't do it themselves, right? And those are the three things that we talk about the most. It's like you got to be able to have a team, but you have to figure it out for yourself in order to be able to build that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you think about the best of the best, and not just in financial, we talk a bit about sports. Like if you look at the greats, like Michael Jordan, he had a coach, even that he was the best, right? Like, and people say like, "Oh, but I'm so good at this. Like, why I should talk to someone?" Like, you should because you always can learn, and different perspectives always help. And speaking of tools, like what tools do you use with your clients when it comes to changing mindsets? And when they come to you, and let's have an example here, they maybe hear their parents fight around the topic of money, or they've been told the things that I just told you, like money don't grow in trees and so on. And it's you need to work very hard to make money, and you should never spend, I don't know, on things that you enjoy and stuff like that. How do you approach that situation?
We ask why. Like, for example, yours was money don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
Why is that still sticking with you?
Because I hear it so many times, like for years, more than 10 years,
Like, when you hear it now, what does that mean? Like, what does it do to you?
associating money with something that is scarce, even that I don't believe it anymore. But when I think about it, I was like, oh, actually, yeah, you don't go walk on the street and you just see, I don't know, a stack of cash floating around.
Yeah. And so scarcity was what came out, right? Like, that was the term that viscerally you felt. So when you think of scarcity, do you feel like there's only an infinite or there's only a finite amount of money? Is that what it makes you feel? Or is it you're only able to create in so much money?
Kind of both. At least that's what I feel. Again, luckily I'm over that. But what I was feeling was like, yeah, there's no enough money in the world that everyone has abundance and everyone is wealthy from that perspective. And the other one was like, yeah, it's so freaking hard to make money consistently every single month, to not think about the fact that, oh, how I'm going to pay the bill this month and so on. That was the world that I was living in.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, go back to that world. Obviously, you've changed now, but this is the exercise that we go through. This is exactly the conversation I would have. Is how do you make money currently? Right? Go back to that time frame. But how do you make money? Like, how do you achieve money creation now?
Yeah, offering my services, consulting, and so on.
Yeah. And so when you create that money or you get a client on, etc., how does that make you feel?
Good. Like I win something, like a celebration moment.
Yeah. Right. We want that feeling. So take that feeling. Right. Hold on to it. How many people are in the world that could use your services?
A lot.
Yeah. And it keeps growing, right? Like
Exactly.
there's just more and more and more. And so we try to break through that feeling and grab a good feeling and tie it to that big fear. That fear for you was scarcity, right? And we pulled out a feeling of, oh, I do good. Like I do help people. I do this thing for them. And then we say, okay, well, then scarcity is wrong because there's not a finite number. It might be hard work, but it's not true that it's not there or it's going away. There is probably billions of people that could use our services, right? I don't know the true number, but realistically, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that you could get to and to help in the way that you want to help. So when we put that back on them, they go, oh, well, then, yeah, that's true. And that's that first little crack in that defensive armor that we can then say, let's work on that, right? Let's talk about that as we go through our building our plan and as we talk every month and every week. Like, let's go back to that feeling. Even if we have a negative feeling and it wants to heal that wall back up, let's go back to that and let's keep talking about it and talking about it until that wall can crumble. And then once it's crumbled, like we had talked about before, once you've done the work, now it's just part of you. And now, all the goodness happens. So that is an exercise that we go through with every one of our clients in almost every situation that they have.
Love it. And especially because it's bringing back to reality, right? Because there is abundance there. People that are listening to us right now, they have, first of all, internet connection, right? That's a huge thing. Like if you have access to the internet, you have access to opportunities, and you're not probably like thinking, oh, I don't have water to drink or something else. Like there are people that are struggling with that. And you've been to Tanzania. And I had a guest in the podcast that in Tanzania, he was helping an orphanage and he noticed that people were walking for like, I don't remember exactly, like 15 kilometers a day just to get access to free, fresh water. And of course, in that sun and so on. And you should be grateful for what you have, especially this powerful thing that it's internet. Like have access to experts like you to be able to learn things in a short amount of time. And speaking of the learning, let's go back to the buckets because now let's say we fix, at least we have a tool to fix the mindset, but let's go back to the buckets. What you put in the first short-term bucket, a part of like a safety net or just a safety net for the next 3 6 months?
It's purely a safety net, but I want it away from your normal accounts, right? Now, I know we're speaking to more of a global conversation here, but really you should have your normal bank account, your normal checking account, the one that you use all the time, right? We have money in there because we have to spend money. That's how life works. I want you to get an outside one, right? Still connected and can transfer, but you don't see it every time you log in. That's where that short term bucket should go, right? Because as humans, when we see money in account, we go, oh, I really needed those new shoes. I really needed that, right? We start to spend it and it's very hard to stick to your plan. So automate all of this into different buckets that are not easily available for you. It might take 24 hours to transfer it, right? Something that takes an extra step. So that first bucket is going to be, yes, 3 to 6 months, but probably 1.5 months are in your normal checking account because that's easy access. The rest of it is in a different account that's probably a high yield savings account that's getting you 3 4%, that maybe take 24 hours to transfer over, but you don't see it every day. It's just automatically set to go there because then you're getting established. Our biggest fears as humans, specifically when it comes to money, is what if something happens and I need money to take care of that situation, right? Well, majority of us, I don't know what the stat was I last saw, but it was like 70 something percent don't even have $1,000 in their short term bucket to take care of situations. Don't know about you, but with inflation and all things going on, $1,000 doesn't go very far anymore. And so that's where if you can establish that baseline, it'll not only help you emotionally, but it actually helps you financially because then you can say, hey, I'm good. Like I'm taken care of within that first bucket.
Not to mention that, speaking of emotions, you'll make decision from a place of calmness because you have that, you're not scared that, oh, I'm running out of money, I don't have the next bill to pay or my next expense and so on. And having that calmness gives you clarity when you make decisions. And I know because I was in the other situation where I had same like those that you describe. I had no money put aside, things happened, and I was like, what I'm doing now? Making decision from a perspective of, I don't know, fear is never fun. So once you develop that, do you set, you mentioned automation, you set some sort of automatic transfer based on your income, a percentage of that? How should build that initial safety net?
You got to look at your overall budget. All our budgets are different. I don't really truly believe in, 10%, 20% or whatever that. The numbers are different because my budget's going to be different than yours, right? My things are different than yours. But I want you to set it to where hopefully by plan within 18 months, your first bucket is filled. So whatever that looks like for you. If it means you have to save 10,000 over 18 months or whatever the numbers are, but we try to get that first bucket filled within the first 18 months of your plan, right? Again, like I said, I don't try to go too fast, but 18 to 24 months to fill your first bucket is a pretty good plan. So those numbers work out to you, right? Divide, use the math. If you needed to save $18,000 in 18 months, that's $1,000 a month. So think about what fits for you, but really we try to do that within that first couple of years. And I say a first couple of years, and a lot of people are like, well, don't you want that filled as fast as possible? The answer is no, not necessarily. One, because you have other buckets you need to fill, right? And two, this is a long term plan. We don't do things expeditiously. We're not trying to do it tomorrow. We want to build a habit and a new lifestyle for you. And so if you did it really fast in the first couple months, Well, then you're going to be like, ooh, well, I can do it in a couple months, so I might as well just spend that money now because I know I can do it again, right? If we build it into your lifestyle, now it's something for the rest of your life that's built into you, and then you won't have that overspending issue or debt issue again because you've changed and grown into the new you.
And I want to tackle that a bit because the way I do it, it seems that it's not your approach. And I want to ask you why it might be wrong the way I approach it. So, when I build my safety net, after my experiences of not having a safety net, I build just that. So I don't put in any other buckets. In my case, I want to have 6 to 12 months of runway at the current lifestyle expenses that I have, including running the business. So why is this approach not ideal and we need to fill the other buckets as well?
Yeah. One, you're actually doing two buckets at the same time. So you're doing the same thing, right? So let's go back to the three buckets. First bucket is 3 to 6 months. Next bucket is 6 to 12 months. And then the third is 12 plus. It's different types of investments. That first 3 to 6 is going to be high yield savings accounts, those types of things. Your medium term bucket, which is 6 to 12 months later, should be in maybe a little more aggressive stock market type stuff, a little more different investments. 12 plus is your retirement funds, real estate, something that is going to be a long term plan. And the reason for that is because of liquidity. So if I know a major event happens that I've got 3 to 6 months, no matter what, easily in cash, I can get to within 24 hours. Well, if something, an event takes me out for 3 to 6 months, I now am starting to liquidate the 6 to 12 month bucket, but I have time to do so I can do it correctly, timely, etc. if I'm still disabled or whatever the situation is after 6 months. And then as the 6 to 12 month bucket starts getting eaten up, I can already be liquidating the 12 plus to prepare for that as well, right? So you're doing two buckets at once, which is completely fine. That's usually what we want. We want to try to do all three. The reason we want to do more than one bucket, specifically at least the first two, is because you need to be planning for all the other things going forward, right? If we put them all into one bucket, then we're taking away from later down road plans and goals and situations, right? Like if your medium goal is to buy a home, well, if I'm saving for the down payment of $20,000, but I first need to get my short term bucket filled, what if that takes me 18, 24, 4 years, 5 years just to fill that first bucket? Well, now I'm not even started on my next one. That's going to take me another 4 or 5 years, right? People, as humans, we need to be working towards something. We need to see steps and progress towards whatever goal it may be. And if we're not doing that at any sort and we're only focused on one, then we're hyper focused. It's like the same amount of conversation we had about being narcissistic and only caring about money. We'll hyper focus and we'll lose sight of our goals and what matters to us in the long term. And so that's why we try to do at least the two buckets at the same time. And whatever that looks like for you is different, right? It might be I put $100 in my short term and $50 into my medium term, fine. But if we're working towards both, we're able to achieve that quicker. But as humans, we're focused on that long term goal.
Yeah, indeed, because it makes so much sense when you explain it, since you know already when you finish the first bucket that you got traction in the second one, in the third one, and it's much more easier to not just continue, but to already kind of see the end. Like, oh, I'm getting closer to fill this bucket as well. So it feels nice if it's easy to still put money into it. And you mentioned, of course, this is not financial advice, but you mentioned investments. That should be in the second bucket or in the third one.
Both. It should be in both, right? So there are different types of investments. There are investments that are more liquid and we can buy and sell those every day or three. I like those a lot more in the medium term bucket, right? Depending on what they are. They could be ETFs, they could be, a certain stock. For example, not saying everyone go buy this stock. Again, not trying to give you financial advice, the SEC would kill me. But for example, a few weeks ago, we had found that a lot of the airlines were trading at a very low rate. And we know historically airlines trade at a very high number. So we put positions in for our clients in their medium term buckets, let's say at $15 a share, knowing that when it gets up to around $20, $25 a share, we'll sell it and it'll be in that bucket as a midterm, right? Because it was a shorter term play, a midterm play. Long term might be those investments like real estate or other businesses that are not going to turn around. We're not going to sell it for long periods of time, like years, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, right? That's what you would put in the long term. That could be stocks and bonds, it could be real estate, it could be vehicles, you name it. But you know that, hey, I can't just go sell that thing tomorrow or in a year from now to get my money out. It's something that's going to be illiquid for a long period of time. And that's what the long term bucket's for, or bucket three, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I guess someone that's had almost zero clue about when it comes to wealth, financial vehicles, and so on. It's always fascinating for me to see other perspectives, and especially talking to individuals like you from all around the world, how this applies to everyone. Like, it's something that even if I live in Europe, for example, or if I live in Asia or Africa or South America, still applies for me what you just shared.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't change. The zeros might change, right? The amount of money might change, but realistically, none of the buckets change. The ideas of investments don't change. It's just you're going to probably be investing in something more local, right? Depending on where you live and things that you do, or a local business or something like that. But in terms of the buckets themselves and how you should support yourself, none of that changes. Just the amount of money that goes into them changes.
Thanks for clarifying that. And speaking a bit more about money, how we should look at it. You kind of paint a picture, but it's just a tool or it's more than that?
So I've been going back and forth on this. I used to call it a tool all the time. But my colleague, Dr. Preston Cherry, has kind of started shifting my mindset a little bit. Money is a partner, okay? A partner that you're using and leveraging for a certain purpose, okay? Some might say that's a tool, kind of still is. But that's what money is. It's designed for a purpose. It is not who you are, it's not what you are, and it's not who you're going to become. It has its role and it's in what it's supposed to do. You are still in control. You are still the one that can dictate what happens with it. And so at this point in time, like I said, I'm shifting a little away from tool to more of a partner, but that's what money is to all of us, and it should be to all of us.
I love that perspective. And I keep on asking this because I know a lot of people need to hear it. To not associate money just with, I don't know, the world will collapse for whatever reason, you cannot make money for a while. If you prepare yourself, it's so much easier to make decisions and so on. So if you were to start all over again, why you still choose this path?
Why? It's because it's one of the most integrated things in every human on this earth. It affects us, all of us, right? Our money might be different. It might have a different name. Our currency might be different. I might be bartering services or something like that. But at the end of the day, this concept of money affects every human on this planet and will always affect every human on this planet. The sad thing is, we're not educated like it's going to, right? We're not educated that, hey, you do need to drink water and eat food every so often or you'll die, right? We are not educated on how money is so integrated with who we are and our fibers of humans, but also how it affects us every day in life. And so that's why no matter what, if I restarted, I would still be doing the same exact thing because it affects everybody. And I want everyone to have the ability to at least have the education to make that decision for themselves and not follow someone else's advice or be told something else or just do it because someone else is doing it. I want you to be able to make that educated decision for yourself.
Man, I love your passion about this, and I'm sure a lot of those that tune in resonate with it. Where they should get in touch with you in order to work with you.
Yeah, go ahead and look me up, Stoy Hall. I'm on all the social media platforms possible. You can look up Black Mammoth, go to blackmammoth.com. That's my business. You can also go to No BS Wealth, which is my podcast at nobswealth.com. Again, all over the social webs. The only thing I ever ask when I'm a guest or I'm hosting my own is engage with us. Please comment, share, like, and not because the algorithm loves it, that helps us, but because we can't change our content. We can't help you if you don't engage, right? I can't do my job if you don't reach out and say, Stoy, I need help, or I want to learn more about this. So please engage with us so that way we can all help you as much as possible.
Thank you so much for that. And indeed, you speak so much truth. And we are doing this for a reason. We are passionate about, we love to share this knowledge and so on. And if you just can help another person hear it, you'll help or make their day and so on. And we are still not done here because I just want to pick your brain a bit more. Because I know those that are tuning in and listen to this point, they're like, all right, so I built all these buckets. I start investing as well. I'm in a good place and my relationship with money improved and so on. What should be the next step for them in order to not necessarily take you to the next level, but to ensure that they don't do it just for themselves, but they leave some sort of legacy behind them?
Legacy is different for all of us. I think legacy gets this connotation that you have to have a bunch of money or assets or something to give. A lot of legacy can just be your memories that you create with somebody, your experiences that you've provided. You're going to have a legacy because of the podcast and conversations that we're having. So don't always contribute legacy with money. But however, when you do have all of that, and I don't know all the legal terms and laws from all the other countries, but build a trust, build a legacy plan that follows exactly who you would want to be and how you would want it to be, right? If that's donating some of it back to charity or to local businesses, if that's supporting your family, let it be known that it's that way too. But ultimately, you got to get it written down. You have to have a team to help you, and you have to start building that in now, right? Regardless if you have money or not, start working on your legacy plans now, because we could die tomorrow. You could die today. And your legacy still matters no matter how many zeros you do or do not have behind your name.
I truly appreciate the principle that you're being guided by. And sharing this helps a lot of people get a broader perspective. Since a lot think about legacy, I should maybe get some money to my kids, I should get the money to some charities and so on. That's all good, but it's more than that, right? And it's so different for every single one of us. And when you actually plan it and you have it legally somewhere, it gives you that peace of mind that you did the right thing. And if something happens to you, your loved ones are protected and so on. And you don't just put them in a situation where they have no idea what to do. What's your perspective when it comes to leaving money to kids? I saw out there some people say like, oh, you should not do that because they should learn how to make money or whatever. What's your take?
My take and what we're doing for our kids, my two boys, is we're going to leave them money, but we're going to leave them money in a trust that has different provisions. So, like, they're young, they're 11 and 8 right now. So, the provisions will be you get zero income, right? We'll still support sports. Like, the trust will pay for your schooling, your sports, that stuff before you're 18. When you graduate high school, you will get a $5,000 bonus check just to be able to spend, because kids will be kids. If you go to college, we will pay for 50% of your college. You will have to get a loan for the other 50%. Once you graduate college, we will then pay off your student loans for graduating, right? And then you're on your own from after graduation until you either get married or it's been 5 years. After that, the trust itself will kick you off a little income that you can live off of. And then when you have kids, and it just keeps, there's a lot more layers to it. But it's not, here's millions of dollars, good luck, see you later. It's already designed specific things that make them grow and earn it, if you will, earn the ability to have the legacy or the money that is given to them, as opposed to one lump sum. Lump sums fail. Like, we know this. We see it in the media right now too, that we're going to have this giant wave of money shifting hands. I know if you just look it up, everyone thinks that this giant wealth is going to change hands to the younger generations. I don't think so. I think a lot of them are going to be in trusts designed around what I just said, and people aren't going to be having the access they think they're going to have access to. And that's vitally important, because anyone who got given a bunch of money is going to probably do poor things with it. But if you build up your legacy plan like we are, with different layers to it, then you can actually educate them even though you're no longer there. And I think that's what's really important when you're building out and giving money to children.
Speaking of education, at what age do you actually start educating your kids around money?
Yeah, we started, technically it was always there, but kids don't really remember or learn anything before 3, right? Let's be real. But we really started to hone in on that around the age of 3, the concept of money. And how we started is we would just talk about it, right? We have monthly financial meetings as a family. And so what we do is we just talk about the money, right? If we were going to buy something, we would say, do you know where this money came from? Right? At the age of 3. As they started to get older, we use the Greenlight app, and That allows us to do allowances. Like we all have allowances as kids usually, allowances, but they have to work for it. They have to check things off. Then from there, whatever dollar they're given, 50% automatically gets sent out to investments, and then 50% they can do what they want with. And we talked about that's kind of like taxes, right? Immediately when we get paid, a lot of money's gone and we don't really see it again. Luckily for them, we invest it as opposed to take it and put it in our pockets. But it teaches them that even when I earn money, that full dollar is not mine. It needs to go to places and it needs to have opportunities. And so we do that. We educate our clients on that as well. But it should start as soon as they can understand words and hold dollars and coins. It should start as soon as that.
Yeah, and I hope a lot of people, parents and so on, or those that are expecting kids to start to apply this, because it's so important. If you just think, any of us that are listening right now, like, how did you grow up? Did you have any sort of educational when it comes to money or not? And just using that as a benchmark if you want, like, and start educating, you'll just grow so different. The kids will be so different because we'll have that knowledge, we'll have the tools to actually tackle this world from a different perspective. Even if the world will change, we'll have different financial vehicles, but the principles stay the same.
They do. And we're generations behind in terms of having that knowledge be the basis of all of us, right? And we need to start with the young kids now. That's the only time we'll be able to change generations is these young kids need to have it now. So that way when they're adults, we can start to see this giant shift of just the fundamental knowledge that I think we all should have.
Indeed. And I want to conclude with something. You just meet someone that you never meet before on the street. And that person is playing a guitar with a box in front of him, trying to make some cash. Do you have any words of wisdom to that individual?
One, if they're playing beautifully, they're getting a tip, right? Two is just keep working on yourself and your craft. Keep putting in the time and effort that you are doing because what you're doing is what is best for you at this moment in time. Secondary to that, if they follow up with, well, I'm really not doing well, I'm struggling, or whatever may be, then the second part of that is, why do you feel that way? Right. And so those two things are the advice I would give is one, just keep doing what you're doing because not a lot of people would put in the effort and that effort will come to fruition at some point. And then the second part of why, just know your why of what you're doing to keep you motivated because that's the hardest thing. We're all going to go through ups, but we all go through a lot of downs and it feels like we're alone, but you're not. And first thing is to understand why you're doing it because you're usually doing it for someone else or a different purpose. And you need to remember that so you can keep your energy up and keep going. But you keep putting in the work, success will come.
This was Stoy Hall on Authority in the Wild. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.